that these are nutritive part containing. Okay, so this is known as nucellus. This is nucellus. Outside that, it is known as integuments. Now here two integuments are there. So it is inner integument. This is outer integument. Now, where integuments are arise, that portion is known as chalaza or chalazal end. Chalazal end. Where integuments are absent, this portion, it is known as micropylar end. Micropylar end or micropyle. Okay. Now, here you can see the attachment of this ovule. Okay, attachment of this ovule, and this portion is known as a funicle. Funicle. And attachment of funicle and body of ovule, it is known as hilum. Okay. Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes what happen, beyond hilum, one thread like structures are there that are covering to hilum. Okay, this is known as rees. It is present in some plant. This is known as rees. So this is typical structure of ovule. Okay, now one to one we have to discuss everyone, what is that, what is their definition, that we have to know. Okay, so come on that. First one is a funicle. Just see that figure and tell me how can we define these funicles. What we can say, ovule is attached to placenta. Okay, ovule is attached to placenta by slender sac, that is known as funicle. So ovule is attached with placenta. Okay, here you have to know that ovule attached with what? Placenta. Ovule is attached with placenta by a slender sac. By a slender sac is known as funicle. That is known as what? Funicle. Next is what? Next is hilum. Where hilum? It what is that? Where body of ovule fused with funicle. That is known as hilum. So next is hilum. Okay. So what is the definition of this? Point of attachment of body. Okay. So here what is that? Point of attachment of body of ovules to its funicle is called hilum. Okay, so that is called what? Hilum. Now here what I have told, if questions are coming, which is known as a junction between ovule and funicle, so what will be that? Hilum. So also we can say it is, this is one question, it is junction between funicle and ovule. Okay, so junction between funicle and ovule is hilum. Okay, now sometimes I told that a thread like structures funicle extended. Okay, what happens? Sometimes funicle continues beyond the hilum, that I told, that is known as ridge. So ridge. Sometimes funicle continues beyond hilum. Okay, sometimes what happens? Funicle continues beyond hilum along the body of ovule. So along the body of ovule, like ridge. Okay, what is that? Like ridge, and that is known as is known as ridge, or also it is known as a raphe. Raphe. Okay, so this word you have to remember. Raphe is nothing but it is what? Funicle when continues beyond hilum along the body of ovule, like ridge, is known as ridge or raphe. Okay. Now, next we have to know already that basal part, lowermost portion, is known as what? Chalaza. Okay. So next is chalaza. So how we can define this chalaza? Basal region of ovule. Okay, basal region of ovule from which integuments arise. So basal region of ovule from which integuments arise. Okay, so from which integuments arise is known as, what is that known as? Chalaza or chalazal end. Okay, chalazal and or chalaza. Okay, so this is basal region of ovule. Next is what? Next is uppermost portion where integuments absent, that is known as micropyle. So next is micropyle. Upper region of body of ovule where integuments are not present. Integuments are absent is known as micropyle. Okay, so that is known as what? Micropyle. Okay, now on the basis of integuments number, okay, on the basis of integuments number, what happens? Ovules are having following types. On the basis of number of integuments, ovules are of following types. Okay, so here first type, if any ovule contain what? Only one integument. So that is known as a unitegmic. What is that? Unitegmic. Ovule containing only one integument is known as unitegmic. That is known as what? Unitegmic. Yes, tell me what will be the example of this unitegmic? Yes, right. So that is gymnosperm and member of Gamopetali. So for example, gymnosperms and members of Gamopetali. Okay. Now, one what I told containing only one integument. If this ovule contain two integuments, what will be that number? That known as bitegmic. So next is bitegmic ovule containing two integuments. Okay, ovules containing two integuments known as bitegmic. And what will be the example for that? Yes, so that is monocots. For example, monocots. And other examples are members of polypetally. Here gamopetally is there. Here members of polypetally. Okay. Now, one more type is there, that is ategmic, means without integument. So third type is ategmic. Ovule is without having any integument, is known as ategmic. Okay, what is that? Ategmic. What is that example? You all know Centellum or Loranthus. Okay, so for example, Centellum Loranthus. This is what? Parasitic plant. Parasites. Okay, here these two you have to remember. That ategmic having example. First we have to know ategmic means without any integument. And what will be the example? Centellum and Loranthus. So that is what? Ategmic. Now, next we have to see on the basis of degree of curvature. What is that? Degree of curvature, or what we can say, position of micropyle, body of ovule, and funicle. Ovules further having some types. Okay. So next is on the basis of degree of curvature, that is position of body of ovule, micropyle, chalaza, and funicle. Okay, what I told? Ovules are following types. Ovules are following types. Mostly they are having 6 types. Okay. Number 1 is known as atropous or orthotropous. So first one is atropous or orthotropous. Now, atropous or orthotropous means, ortho means what? Bone. And bone always having what? Straight position. So here what, how can we remember this? In orthotropous, what happens? Funicle, chalaza and micropyle are in straight line. So here funicle, micropyle, chalaza are in straight line or vertical axis. Okay, so here funicle, micropyle, chalaza are in straight line or vertical axis. Since all are having straight line, that's why it is also known as straight ovules. So name you have to remember, straight ovules. It is also known as straight ovules. This you have to remember. Okay, it is also known as straight ovules, and this is the most primitive type, ancient type of ovule. It is most primitive, old, ancient type of ovule. This is most primitive or ancient type of ovule. Okay, here example is Piper polygonum cycas. So for example, this example you have to remember. Piper polygonum cycas. This you have to remember, that in Piper polygonum or cycas, which type of ovules are there? So that is orthotropous or atropous type of ovule. Okay, any problem? Now here what I told, this is having what? Here what I told, this is micropyle, this is chalaza, okay, this is funicle. So these all are having what? Straight line, and that's why we told atropous or orthotropous. But you have to remember only this example, Piper polygonum and cycas. Okay, so this is atropous or orthotropous. Next we have to see, this is upward. Now next, if this is reversed with 180 degree, then it is known as anatropous. So next is anatropous. Number 2 is anatropous. Okay, previously what we seen, atropous, this is anatropous. Here what's happened, ovules are inverted by 180 degrees. You have to remember 180 degrees. So ovules are inverted by 180 degree of angle. Okay, here what happens? 180 degree of angle ovules. Now, anatropous is what? It is most common type of ovule. Here you have to remember this 180 degree. It is most common type of ovule. Don't be confused. Previous one was most primitive type. It is most common type. So it is most common type of ovule. Okay, it is most common type of ovule and found in where? Angiosperms, which is found in angiosperms. Okay, so most common type of ovule which is found in angiosperms. Okay, for example, what is that example? Just for example, castor. For example, castor. Okay, so this is anatropous. Here what happens? Just for here what happens? Previously it was micropyle. Here chalaza will be there. Here micropyle. This funicle. Okay, so here what happens? Funicle and chalaza just reverse by 180 degrees. So it is anatropous. Okay, next is amphitropous. Third one is amphitropous. Okay, now here this is very important because here one specific structure is formed. Okay, in amphitropous specific structure is formed. What happens? Embryo sac become curved and looks like a horseshoe shape. Okay, here what happened? Here embryo sac become curved and looks like horseshoe shaped. This you have to remember. There's a horseshoe shaped structure of embryo sac found in which type of ovule? So that is amphitropous. What is that? Amphitropous. Example is poppy, lamna, alisma. So for example, poppy, lamna, alisma. So these are plants where amphitropous ovules are formed. Okay. Now, next one is campylotropous. But going on that, we have to know that amphitropous means what happens? Here, horseshoe shaped structure are formed. It is horseshoe shaped embryo sac. Okay, horseshoe shape. This you have to remember in poppy, lamna, alisma. Now, after Amphitropus, next one is Campylotropus. Next one is Campylotropus. Now, in Campylotropus, what happens? Here, funicle becomes curved. What I told? Here, funicle becomes curved and not the straight line with chalaza. So, what happened here? Funicle becomes curved and not straight line, not in straight line with chalaza. Okay, here funicle becomes curved. This you have to remember, and not in a straight line with chalaza. So that is known as Campylotropus. And here you can see that examples are members of Cruciferae, and Leguminosae family. So for example, members of Cruciferae and Leguminosae family. This you have to remember. Okay, what are the members that belongs to Campylotropus? Okay, so that is members of Cruciferae and Leguminosae. Here what happens? Funicle becomes curved. Okay, so here what happens? Funicle becomes curved structure. Okay, now after Campylotropus, next one is Hemianatropus. Hemianatropus. Now, hemi means what? 90 degrees. So what angle will be here? In Hemianatropus, ovule is situated at a right angle to the funicle. So here, ovule is situated at right angle. Right angle means how much degree? 90 degree to the funicle. Okay, so to the funicle. So in that condition, that is known as Hemianatropus. And example is ranunculus. So for example, ranunculus. This example you have to remember. Okay. Now in Hemianatropus, what happens here? Ovule become with 90 degrees. So here, how much angle will become? 90 degree. Okay, to the funicle. So 90 degrees there. Okay, and ranunculus. Last one is known as Cercinotropus. Cercinotropus. Okay, Cercinotropus. Here what happens? Complete roundup. So that is angle is 360 degrees. So Cercinotropus, what happens? Ovule turns at more than 360 degree. Here ovules turns at more than 360 degree angle. Okay, here ovules turns at more than 360 degree angle. So what happens? So funicles becomes coiled around the ovule. So that funicle becomes coiled around the ovule. Okay, so here you have to know what is that angle, more than 360 degrees. Sir Sinotropus. In Hemianatropus 90 degree. Okay, so Sir Sinotropus more than 360-degree angle, and that becomes what, curved around the ovule, and it is found in opuntia. So for example, where it is found in opuntia, here what happens, here complete roundup are there. Okay, here what happens, complete roundup are there, more than 360-degree angle. An example you have to remember, this is opuntia. Okay, so these are what we seen, types of ovule. Next we have to discuss megasporogenesis. What is that megasporogenesis? Development of formation of megaspore. So this is megasporogenesis. What happened? Process of formation of megaspore from megaspore mother cell. So it is process of formation of megaspore from megaspore mother cell, MMC, is known as megasporogenesis. Okay, so what we have to see, megaspore. Okay, now this megaspore is what, it is developed with the help of mitotic division, sorry, meiotic division. Previously mitotic, it is developed by meiotic division. Okay, so what happens, one cell, if meiosis occur, so meiosis, how many daughter cells are formed? 4. So here 1, 2, 3, 4. But this is known as megaspore tetrad. Megaspore tetrad. In between, for meantime, for some time, it develops into megaspore dyad. This is megaspore dyad. It is very short time. It is short time. Very short time. Okay. So if we are developing this, what we can say? Yes, tell me. So mother cell first develop into dyad and then it develop into tetrad. So what is the process? First is megaspore mother cell. It develop into megaspore dyad and then it develop into megaspore tetrad. Okay, this 4-celled stage is there. So megaspore tetrad. Okay, so this is megasporogenesis. In a general condition, what happens? These 3 belongs to micropylar end. Micropylar end. And this belongs to chalazal end. So what happens? These micropylar end become degenerate. So these three degenerate, what remains? Only one. Which side? Chalazal, and this you have to remember. This is the question of EMS. Which side or which part of the megaspore becomes functional? It is functional. So what is that? Chalazal end side of megaspore tetrad becomes functional for the fertilization. That you have to remember. So it is megasporogenesis. Now, since only one megaspore developed, so next we have to see development of monosporic embryo sac.